This is the most accurate fight prediction for Alex Pereira versus Jan Blachowicz. Let's go.
You know exactly what I expect. This is the me, keep yourself protected. When I tell you to stop, you stop. If you want to touch, do it now. God's bless.
Alex Pereira returns to business after a knockout from Adesanya. He decides to change the division and try himself in a higher category. Now he can officially be considered a light heavyweight fighter, and the first who decided to greet him is Jan Blachowicz, who failed to take the belt in the last fight. Hello fighters, with you channel MMA predictions. In this video, I will give a prediction for the expected fight between Jan Blachowicz and Alex Pereira. But before starting this video, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and like it so that as many fans around the world as possible can notice this release. Alex Pereira in MMA may not be so long ago, but he managed to make a lot of noise. First, after several victories in mixed martial arts, the company notices him and signs him to their promotion in order to promote his potential fight against Israel in the future. The Brazilian begins to win and the company decides to speed up his path. It gives him a striker who at that time was in the top 5 middleweight. Pereira, to the surprise of many, was able to knock out his opponent and take his position. Thereby, he knocks out a title fight against an old acquaintance of Israel Adesanya. The fight for Alex did not turn out the way he wanted. Almost all the allotted time, the champion controlled the fight, but at the end of the 5th round, Pereira decided to wake up. He shakes the champion with one of the blows and flies to finish off. He defends himself without trying to punch back, and thus the referee stops this fight and fixes the victory of Alex Pereira. He becomes the new middleweight champion, but for the former champion's past merits, he is given a chance to win it, and the rematch was much worse for the champion than their first fight. Until the 3rd round, the fighters exchanged shots on their hands, where I did not observe a clear favorite, but after in the 3rd round, with one of the blows, Israel sends his opponent to a death knockout, and thus he avenges past defeats. Alex wanted to arrange another fight with Izzy, but Dana White was not enthusiastic about this idea and suggested that Pereira move up a category and try his hand there. And that's how we see he listened to the advice of the head of the company and fights with the representative of the top 5 of this category, Jan Blachowicz. Let's talk about the poll in a nutshell. Jan is an inveterate top 93 kilograms. He defeated many serious fighters. One of them is, for example, the current middleweight champion Israel Adesanya. He also fought on equal terms with the main contender for the title belt Magomed Ankalaev. Blachowicz is a very dangerous challenge for the Brazilian, as Jan is comprehensively developed, and in any aspect of MMA he can surprise an inexperienced Brazilian. But we will talk about this in separate paragraphs. And we will move smoothly, not directly to the main part of this video. Let's analyze all the small details of this fight in order to understand who is really better. Percussive style. Well, as usual, we start with a drum, and the first in line is the representative of Brazil, Alex Pereira. Potent in the rack is more dangerous than ever because he came from kickboxing, and as we know from Adesanya, the guys who came from this sport are distinguished by their fighting game. That is, his style. Blows are completely different than those of an ordinary fighter. His movement and ability to work on counterattacks can help him catch the pole. As we know, Jan has already been caught with an accurate side to the meeting. I think you know who it was, but in case you forgot, I'll remind you that Thiago Santos was able to catch Blachowicz on a mistake. So what will a fighter who specializes in counterattacks and wait for you to go to him do with him, especially since there are moments in Pereira's career in which he showed his brilliant technique. Now let's move on to the striking component of Jan Blachowicz. Judging by the skills, Jan will naturally be inferior to the former champion, but he also has his own equally cool advantage. One of them, as you can guess, is the legendary Polish power, which he destroyed quite a few high-class fighters. Jan knows how to work in a stand. I can cite as an example his last fight against Ankaleev, where the Pole used his entire arsenal of blows, and as we remember, it was the low kicks that played a very important role in that fight. Of course, such a topic is unlikely to roll against a kickboxer, but no one has cancelled the legendary Polish power. Pereira has already been knocked out, so what prevents him from repeating again? Blachowicz is not new to shocking fans. Well, what can I say in the end? Because of my more experience in striking technique, I will choose Alex Pereira, who, I think, should outplay the Pole. Playing from below. Let's move on to the wrestling path, where this time we will start with the representative of Poland. Jan, in my opinion, is very strange in this regard. Either he destroys his opponents in the struggle, or he himself appears as a victim. But I have a logical explanation for all this. As we know, Blachowicz is not a super wrestler, but he has a black belt in BJJ in his piggy bank. And there is an opponent against him who is not particularly familiar with wrestling. Then he can simply translate and control the whole round. This has already happened in the fight against Israel Adesanya, where Blachowicz showed us his other side. But if there is an opponent with a good wrestling history against him, then he does not even think to translate him. On the contrary, they try to translate him. Magam Ankaleev can simply confirm this. But in the fight against Pereira, he has a very big advantage. Now let's move on to the wrestling component of Alex Pereira. I can only say this, in wrestling he is completely nothing. He managed to translate the bass drummer, who is zero in the fight. Even he translated and held Pereira. So what will happen when he meets with the same Jan Blachowicz, who will only be happy to translate you? As I said, if the Pole sees that his opponent is zero in this path, then with 100% probability expect a transfer, and given that Alex Pereira will be against him, do not doubt it. Alex in MMA has not yet demonstrated his wrestling skills, and I can't evaluate his defense or any pluses, only one minus, since his first professional fight was lost just the same due to not being able to fight. And therefore, without any questions, Jan Blachowicz will be considered the favorites in this aspect. Cardio spirit. As for stamina, here Pereira can go all 25 minutes. In the fight against Adesanya, we realized what Alex is capable of. Even when he loses the fight, he still stays afloat and his cardio only reinforces my words. But what will happen when they start to fight him? It will be interesting for me to see. Now let's move on to the endurance of the Pole, and here I also do not observe any pronounced gaps. He can also calmly go the entire allotted distance, and even more so the fight will take place in a 3-round format, where both look great, and due to this I will put equality. Now let's move on to the spirit, where I still believe more in Pothin, who wants to take the gold of this league and protect him several times. Forecast. As for the winner, I think that Jan Blachowicz will win this fight. Due to the fact that Pereira does not know how to fight, Jan will take advantage of this weakness and transfer the former champion over and over again. The future of fighters. Jan, after the victory, as he said, will get a title fight. Against whom, this is another question. But the fact remains that he is the next contender for the belt. As for Pereira, I hope he will understand that with such a struggle he will not swim far, and he will have to improve it.